know I'm a dreamer, but my heart's of gold. I had to run away high so I wouldn't come home low. Just when things went right, it doesn't mean they were always wrong. Just take this song and you'll never be left all alone. Take me to your heart, fill me in your bones. Just one more night and I'm coming on this long and winding road. I'm on my way, I'm on my way, home sweet home. Tonight, I'm on my way, I'm on my way.
We ready to go, Pete? All right. Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me or haven't seen me around Southwick, I am Jason Jason Perrone.
Oh, you had to, didn't you?
I
You
had
couldn't
to.
just let it go.
No, I couldn't let it go. How could I do that?
All right, you're even now.
We're even. So I am your new selectman. I want to thank, I have this opportunity, I want to thank the residents of Southwick that voted for me, even those of you who didn't, and hopefully I can sway your opinions of me. So that's all I really got to say about myself right now. Today we are here for my first guest. I have invited Mr. Anthony Russo. He is running for state representative, seat currently held by Mr. Boldiga. And I figured I'd have something a little politics-based when for my first guest. So, Mr. Russo.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're
Really
welcome.
Appreciate it.
You get to be my first Everything Southwick guest.
Yay, great.
So,
Hopefully I don't disappoint.
no, I felt the same way a few months ago when I was my first opportunity ever to be on TV, and especially with the screen in front of me, seeing yourself, it's a little awkward.
Yeah, it is.
Hearing yourself.
Definitely is.
But it's
He
not
got
too bad.
interviewed by a disembodied voice.
Yes, this disembodied voice right here. That's
Yeah.
in your ears right now.
Yeah.
So, but at least it was a familiar disembodied voice for me. So, Pete used to be one of our dispatchers at Westfield PD.
Oh,
so,
okay. Nice.
I've known Pete. How long now, Pete? 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of the old guys at the PD now. It's kind of scary. So, all right. So I'm gonna get right into it with you, Mr. Russo.
Sure,
so,
let's do it.
why don't you tell us about yourself, your experience, your background, and what brought you into decide to run for state rep?
Well, my background real quick, I'm currently an Agawam City Councilor. Before that, I was a mayor appointee to the planning board. I always been very involved in my community in Agawam. Always took a hands-on approach, volunteer where I could. If I saw, things on social media or on the news, hey, we're looking for a helping hand. For years, I would jump on board on that. You grew up in a community, you love the community, you love its residents.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give back, right?
So you're a lifelong Agawam resident.
Born and raised.
Okay.
Both my parents are graduates of Agawam High School. My father's family had a farm in Agawam back in the day when it was farmland.
I think I remember. Where was that?
It was on Cooper Street. This was a long
Okay,
time
yeah,
ago.
I think
long
I
time
vaguely
ago.
remember it. Like I said, I'm an old guy now. So.
But we're going way back. It kind of, when I was a kid, the farm was just more or less no longer for business, just
a hobby farm.
A hobby farm. Family, friends. My grandmother would have a little fruit stand at the end of the driveway.
I wanted to do that and did that when I was a kid. I am not a lifelong Southwick resident, which was one of the things that came up during the campaign. But I was born in Westfield, lived in Blandford, came to Granville. Then I was a Southwick high school guy. And then when my step-parents got divorced, I ended up in Southwick. So that's how I came to Southwick. Again, this isn't about me. This is more about you. But so we talked about the farm and go from there again?
Well, no, so yeah, my involvement in town, I've currently do a lot of volunteering with the Veterans Council. Our council is
I approve
great.
highly as a veteran. So
And I thank you for your service. So,
All right.
my father, what got me, again, it's always about giving back. But what brought the veterans near and dear to my heart, I'm not a veteran myself. I never served. But my father did. My father was Air Force in Vietnam.
I was Air Force myself.
See?
And
Good man.
again,
I knew I liked you. My father would really like you.
I always say thank you for thanking me, but it was a choice I made that I wanted to make. So I appreciate it, but no, it's just like with my PD. People do it all the time. You don't have to thank me. It's something I wanted to do. So, but again, thank you, and thank your father for me. And,
Thank you.
and my dad was a Vietnam vet too. God rest his soul. So, but he was a Marine.
him.
I got told I joined the Boy Scouts when I joined the Air Force. So.
See, my father, my father was one of those guys that he enlisted himself. He wasn't drafted for Vietnam. He enlisted.
Smart.
But unfortunately, my father, like many, were one of the several of thousands of Vietnam veterans got exposed to Agent Orange.
Mine as well. Yeah.
And over those years, it's been a domino effect of severe health issues for my father. Back in 1996, my senior high school, they gave my father 3 days to live with the worst case of pancreatitis in Bay State Medical Center history, caused from that. And, it's just been a domino effect, dialysis, kidney failure. Just recently, back in May, he had a quadruple bypass, all domino effects of having Agent Orange. So,
It's come a long way from 3 days to live in 1996.
Oh, yeah, knock on wood, man's still here. I mean, the guy is strong. He's tough. I love him. And, but I look at my father. My father was very politically involved my whole life growing up. He had friends and connections to help angle through the VA and other hiccups that people get doing that stuff. And I look back and I see, I have friends in town whose fathers are Vietnam vets, and they don't have those connections. They don't have those relationships, right? So I've tried to be an advocate over the years now, helping them. And sometimes it's as simple as, you know what, they can't drive themselves to the veteran service officer's office. Yeah. I give them a ride. Sometimes it's, hey, can you help me fill out the paperwork? Or sometimes they have a struggle and they're getting a snag. So I'll set up a meeting with legislators that I know, like Senator Vilas, and we'll have those meetings and we'll go from there. Does it always work out quick and fast? Absolutely not. Unfortunately, it doesn't. It should. These are our vets. They should have everything.
Politics, nothing's quick and fast.
Exactly. But a few times, you get a quick response and it goes well. And, it feels good to help those people because they deserve it. These are our true American heroes, And so because of my father, and I saw what he went through and my mother, because, with veterans, one thing I've learned, the veteran suffers, but their family suffers. I've watched my mother cry several times over my father. I've cried over my father, not knowing what was going to happen. Yeah. You need a support team. So I try to be part of that team for people.
Yep.
And through those volunteer actions and trying to give back, people have always said, hey, people like change, right? A lot of people like to see
that out,
yeah, they like to see new, fresh ideas come in, and it's not always like saying, hey, we don't like the other ones, but you know what? Let's get something fresh in there. And I have several people come up to ask me, hey, why don't you run for city council? You've been involved, you hinted about it in the past. Why don't you make that go of it? And I did. And I took it seriously and I worked hard at it and it worked out for me, And then
how long have you been a counselor?
I'm on my first term.
Oh, okay.
I'm on my first term. I'm new.
So you're green.
I am.
Pretty green.
I am. And, I was lucky. I was a top vote getter. Very blessed to have that happen. I wasn't expecting it. I thought might sneak in there at 10 or 11, but, the hard work paid off. It really did. And it.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Hard work does pay off.
Yeah, exactly. And, yourself, you had a tough race and you did very well because you worked. And that's what it's about. It's about getting out there every day, meeting as many people as you can. And the main thing is be sincere, right?
I agree.
That's something that I get said to me a lot when I talk to people. They say, even if they don't agree with what I'm saying, they say, you're really passionate. We can tell you care, and that's what it's about. I want someone to like me or dislike me on my personal values, right? What I stand for, what my heart, because I want them to know it's real. And I've been very lucky with that. And then as the way I've been a city councilor, always being the one holding office hours, the one going to every event and walking around, introduce myself to people, and hey, what are your thoughts? What are your concerns for Agawam?
Those are some of the questions that I'm going to bring up to you. Certainly so.
Perfect, thank you.
So, One of the questions I have for you brought up based on your personal opinions. Okay, so you're running for a district with Southwick in it.
I
which
am.
Was I believe there's an article in the paper that we were called the reddest of red in the bluest of blue states. So as a Democrat, what are you going to do to convince people in Southwick that you're not one of those people, like I was called?
Well, my thing is I'm a centrist, right? I get it. You know, when you're in politics, you pick a party. You have a party.
No, you don't.
True. True. Okay. True. You're an independent. You're true. Very true.
You don't have to. But.
True. But, you know, parties can change, but the people don't have to change with it. You know, I joined the Democratic Party in 1995 when I turned 18 years old, right? I came from a union family. You know, I grew up, my father was a vet. My father was a part-time Agawam cop and owned Western Mass Constable Service. You know, we're very pro-police, pro-law family. And you see a trend. I bring that up because you see what the trend is lately, you know, with you see the defund the police stuff. And, you know, that's something I would never support and never could support. And people think I did because I'm a Democrat. I'm like, I don't care what word or letters next to my name. My core values don't change because my party changes their values, right? So me, I always say I'm a centrist. I look at the person, I look at the policy, I look at the idea. Is it good for the people that I care about? Is it good for my family? Is it good for who I represent? If it's a good thing for my family and it comes from a Democrat, great. If it comes from a Republican, great. I'm going to support it.
I agree.
I don't. Party politics can be funny, right? Because they want to loop everyone to that one basket of a party, and there's so many different, especially in today's politics. So it's such a broad avenue of different levels of it, you know, of each party. And like people say, what are you? Well, I'm a conservative Democrat. I am. You know, I'm a small business owner. Yes, I'm a 23-year member of the Bricklayers Union. I've been the chairman since 2011. But on top of that, I also own A. Russo Concrete. I own my own residential concrete business. So I have that business experience, and I see what certain state regulations can do to small business. And so, yeah, I'm there for the working man, but also being a small business owner, I find the happy medium. And that's what we need. And that's what's missing in a lot of politics today is that compromise. How do we benefit both? It doesn't got to be one or the other. We can reach a compromise in the middle. And that's the approach I take to government. Let's give everybody a piece of the pie. Let's reach everybody. To me, if you go one way or the other, you're missing half your population. That isn't fair to who you represent. And that's not who I can be.
Yeah, I saw plenty of it during my campaign. I was told that just because I was an independent, I couldn't be trusted. So that's like you said, centrist is a good thing. That's why I ran as an independent. I think everybody should have a voice. I'm like you. I'm not going to change who I am just because I have a D, an R, an I, an L, whatever next to my name. And you know, that's how I'm pretty much the same way. So. All right, so let's see. Those are the couple of the big ones. So what you mentioned about being an advocate and whatever. So what are you looking to accomplish if elected?
If elected, oh wow. I mean,
well, what do you want to accomplish?
How long
period?
is this show? How long is this show? Listen, my big thing is, you know, you go to Boston in anything, right? You go to any level of politics. You're there, you vote, yay, nay. You hope the people like how you vote. But a big thing is it's your constituents, right? Reaching individuals, hearing what their wants and needs are, what the community's wants and needs are. Because you look at this district now, right? This district has changed with the redistricting. It went from Agawam South to Granville to now you're adding 7 new hill towns, right? And you're losing precinct 1 of Agawam that goes to the 6 Hammond district. And now you're adding communities that have 400, 500 residents in it. They don't have that tax revenue that Agawam definitely has.
Good,
I mean, Agawam's the only city. I mean, we're called a town, but we're officially a city. You know, we're the only, you know, community in the district with a mayor. We have that tax base. Do we need state help? Of course, we all do. Southwick is a decent sized town, right? They can get it. But you look at like the Middlefields, the Montgomerys, the Tollins, right? they need help from their legislators. They need funds. And it could be something as simple as getting a new police cruiser or some supplies for the fire department, supplies for the police department, So it's really my main goal, right? Because, yeah, I want to vote the way people want me to vote. But my main goal is to bring resources and funds back to the communities where they need it, And it's, as I've been going around the district, that's the big thing I've been hearing. We need help. We need help. We're a small community.
Yes.
We need help. And that's what I want to do. I want to make my priority being in all 10 communities regularly, getting to know them, not just the community leaders like the town administrators and the select boards. Yes, I want to meet with them. I want to know what their wants and needs are, but I also want to go there. I'm that kind of guy. I look at events like a fair or a concert or a harvest fair as not just a day of enjoyment, but as a day to put yourself out there, give those people the opportunity to walk up to you, or I'll walk up to them, introduce myself, and you have a conversation. What are your individual needs? What do you want in your community? And if you get enough people saying the same thing, you know what your goals are now. I use these events in Agawam, and I've always gone to them, even before I got into office, just because I enjoy, I'm a people person.
Yep.
I like using those events that be, hey, listen, yeah, I'm your elected official, but I also want to be your friend. And I want them to have that feeling, because I want them to come up to me and say, we need X, Y, and Z, but I also want them to feel comfortable to come up to me, not to just say, hey, great job, I like what you did, but be like, hey, I don't agree with that. Why'd you do it? And you know what? I can have a one-on-one conversation with them face-to-face and explain why. And maybe they'll get information they didn't know. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Good idea. Okay, I support it. Or maybe like, well, I'm sorry. I hear where you're coming from, but I still don't agree with it. Well, good. I know where you stand. I know what your needs and wants are. As an elected official, it's your job to represent the people in your district, right? That's the priority. I've always been that person. I said, if I'm a city councilor and there's a vote coming up and I get phone calls that overwhelmingly want me to do something opposite what I think is right, I got to do what they want. I got to do it because they put me there. So I want that one-on-one encounter. I want them emailing me. I want them calling me. That's why I give out my cell phone number to everyone I meet, my personal number. And people say to me, you're giving out your personal? I go, yes. I want them to know that I want to hear from them. Yep. You give them a work email, you give them your town email. They're like, okay. I give them my personal email along with my town email because I want them to know I really want to hear from them.
Yeah, I'm actually waiting on my business cards right now. So they just one thing they asked, do you want your personal phone number? And I'm like, yeah, because I'm the same way. I want people to talk to me. Again, like you said, want to hear what they have to say, what they want. And like you said it best, they're the ones that put me in this position. And I'm here for them, not for, if you can convince me otherwise, if I'm very strong about something, let's talk about it, and maybe I can convince you, or vice versa. So it's all about communication.
Yeah, exactly. Like the old saying, all politics is local. And that's and this is the one thing that I really wish people could start separating, right? Local politics from national, right? You have a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, right? That locally I think do a great job. Then nationally, honestly, I have to cherry pick. Okay, I like this from the left, I like that from the right, I like this from the left, I like that from the right. Nationally, I don't see a platform I can fully get behind, right? And that's what I really hope people do. At this level, they look at the person, because we're not Congress, we're not the U.S. Senate, we're not your president. We are the guys that you can run into in the grocery store. You can run into us at the ball game, at the high school baseball game or football game, like, hey, let's talk. Just because we have an R or a D next to our name, we're your local friends. We want to get to know you. We want to do what's best for the community. So I'm really hoping people will get to know me, because you bring up how Southwick is considered one of the reddest states.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sorry, one of the reddest towns in the state. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And you know what's funny? When I actually meet a lot of them, and they're Republicans, and like, ooh, you're a Democrat? No, they don't say they're going to vote for me. No. Because they never say. They say, well, I have to do my research. They say to me, you're one of the good ones. I get that a lot, because I have common sense. A lot of us have common sense. But I bring common sense to how I relate with people, how I do my job. I don't try to make it, well, the party says do this. I'll be honest with you, I don't care what the party tells me to do. I'm going to do what I feel is best for the people I represent. That's how I'm a city councilor. That's how I've done everything in my life. That's the way I was when I was a union steward on the jobs, right? Yeah, union had rules, but I knew sometimes those rules, it's not really fair. You gotta work with the employer. You gotta give them a little something, but make sure your men are protected.
Yes.
And I did that, and worked out well. With my business, you find a happy medium. People are struggling. I've done a lot of charity stuff. So, even with my business, I'm like, you know what? People are struggling right now. I still want to keep my business going. Where can I cut a few corners here and there to maybe lower my price a little bit for these people in these times?
Yep.
And it kept me going when times were tough. It kept my business going busy. And and I'll be honest with you, I'm going to say this for the record because people are going to wonder, well, what are you going to do? If you get this is a full-time position. So, yeah.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah. I am, if I'm lucky enough to be the state representative for 3rd Hamden District, this will be my full-time job. It will be state rep. I will still be a member of my union. I will not be a working member of my union. I will not be on job sites. I will still pay my union dues, so I get my pension when I retire, of course. And I will dissolve a Russo Concrete because it was always a side business. That was just a part-time thing for me.
Yep.
This is my priority. The people of the 3rd Hamden District are going to be my priority.
Wow, interesting. So you're I like it. You keep talking, and I have to talk less. So let's see what else. Pete, you got anything?
Oh no, I'm just actually listening because I don't have a dog in the hunt.
No, it's interesting.
It's out of my. It's not in my district.
No, yeah, exactly. So, with this redistricting, unfortunately, after this year, we're going to lose Mr. Vilas, which kind of stinks because he's a very active member of the Senate, and actually works very hard for what he does. Like
he does.
You were talking beforehand, he's a big veterans rep. He is a veteran.
Yep.
Fortunately, with the whole thing with the VA talking about being shut down, what you brought up was these guys can't get to this thing, and we're the redheaded stepchild out here in Western Mass.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting that I try to tell the people this, and I've been preaching this. We've been on this, doing this radio stuff for 7 years now, and the most important election, honestly, is a municipal local election.
Yeah.
The second most important election is a statewide election, and the third most important election is the congressionals, and the fourth most important is presidential.
correct.
And how it affects your life on a daily basis.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before, and I agree wholeheartedly. I mean,
And it's surprising that the turnout is in reverse.
yeah, Brett, you brought this up, Pete, and
I've preached on that too.
yeah, it was amazing with everything I went through with the campaign. It wasn't controversial, but it was very very vocal. People weren't sure what I was, who I was. I was out there, beating the drum and holding my signs, and I figured after the big vote, when I really saw it, we have, I believe we have almost 10,000 residents in Southwick, and I forget what the count was. I want to say it was about 4,500 registered voters, and I think for the select board, I was Mr. Didi was 540 something, and I was like 620 something.
So about 25%.
Yep, of the registered.
That's
voters.
not bad for a municipal, believe it or not. I think that's wrong.
That's about what we got too.
It's
yeah.
and
I think you get to like 45-50% on a presidential.
Yeah. It was interesting to see. I think it was talked about it, and we talked about it in when I was campaigning, and you had me on the show, it was.
I did a special for you.
Yes, that's right. You did do a special for me because I am so special. So.
Well, no, because this is how we've thought about this since we started the radio stuff, even before it became Channel 15 and radio. We always believed in equal time, even though the FCC has relaxed those rules over the years. We've always believed in that, and I was talking to a guy that works for Springfield City Government at a bar one night. We were just shooting the breeze, and he goes, "You allow every single city council candidate to have a half hour of airtime?" I'm like, "Yeah, if they want it, they got it." every election cycle.
That, fair is fair.
And we do at least one mayor's debate, and potentially we've done more when there's been a wide open field or something like that. When we had a wide open field a couple of years ago, we had 4 candidates in here, and we threw it together last minute because we had to.
Yep.
But we believe in that. I mean, I personally believe in that you should be hearing,
Absolutely.
whether you're unopposed or not, people should hear from you. You can't
absolutely.
can't just kind of go along and just run along with that kind of stuff. So,
And in fairness, I did.
and
reach
our
out
door's
to,
always open too.
I did reach out to Mr. Boldiga. I didn't hear back from him, and as you and I talked about, I left a message at his office and whatnot. And but as you and I talked prior to the show, I'm more than willing to come back if Mr. Boldiga gets back to me and wants to, or there's the opportunity to maybe go on with Mr. Fox or Mr. Moglin.
If you guys wanted to set up a debate, I would host that too.
I did.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If Nick wants to debate, and
That'd be great.
I can set it up with Les Tingley over in Agawam. We work very well together. That it could air simultaneously in both places at the exact same time.
That'd be great.
We already have that pathway. Those pathways are set up.
Yes, Pete is a very resourceful media relations, communications, IT, everything guy. So
Well, and we've also decided amongst Agawam, Southwick, and myself that we need to work together to share programming because we're all just single-person departments.
yes, yep.
And you can't survive with just one person running the deal. So we share stuff. I mean, Les does the producing part of Senator John Vilas' Beacon Hill to the 413. I do the production in here, and then Kenny helps with the production and editing, and Les does the editing. So we work together as the 3 of us to make that show happen.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is all a learning experience for me too, Pete. So
And I gotta say, Les, working with Les in Agawam, Les is very good at what he does. He's a professional. Agawam's lucky to have him. Les works very, very hard for Agawam Media. He does a great job, and he's a great person. He's just a great person.
all right, so let's see. So what have we talked about?
Ready for a break?
Sure. We'll take a quick break. Why not?
All right.
Donut shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Join us every Thursday morning
From 6 until at least 7:30,
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show.
right here on WSKB 89.5.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
We back, Pete?
Yes, we are.
Awesome. I must say I approve of your intermission music.
Yes, I kind of picked when you set the tone with the initial song. I'll pick in that vein.
I told everybody part of my campaign was I got to run about change. I know, you guys have been using Bruce Springsteen in my hometown, so I had to come up with a home-based song. And I'm going to admit I'm kind of a metalhead, so.
That's fine.
But so
I have an extensive library.
Not that Motley Crue is really metal in this day and age, but they are, they're Motley Crue. So, but all right, so we are back with Mr. Russo. So we got a few more questions with him, and then we'll go into some of the Southwick stuff that we've got going on. So do you prefer Anthony, Tony? I didn't ask you that when we first met.
It's funny. I always went by both. It was always 50-50 in my family. My father's side all called me Tony, and my mother's side all called me Anthony because I'm named after my grandfather, and they called him Tony. So really, it's a coin flip.
I get called a lot of things, especially in my line of work.
Well, you can go with Tony. Make it more informal.
Perfect. All right, Tony. So you brought up some of the challenges that the towns in the new district lines are going to be facing. I actually am pretty decent friends with one of the new Blandford selectmen, Jeff Allen, and I know he spoke with you a little bit. So what do you think we can do to get Boston to recognize us a little bit more out here? And, one of the things that me and him have been talking about is, especially now with POST, the Police Officer Standardization and Training, they have changed the rules with the Reserve Academy. There is no more Reserve Academy.
Which I have a big problem with.
I do too, Pete.
Because it cripples almost every department in the state except for Boston.
It's even not crippling us, but we've had.
But a lot of community service events that you used to be able to do, you can't.
They're not going to cost money. Unfortunately, they're the sponsors.
Or you just can't do them.
Exactly. We don't have the auxiliary guys that enjoy just being out there for the community. I mean, we all enjoy, you know, I got into police work because I genuinely wanted to help people. You know, to me, it's not about arrests and all that other stuff. Just like politics isn't about, well, this is better for me or better for you or whatever. It's about what's best for the town. That's what I've said from the beginning, and I truly believe that. So, so again, going back to the post thing, when you get down there, well, if you get you down there, we do need to talk about that. You know, like Pete said, these regulations. I hate to be this way, but all this is feel-good legislation.
Yeah.
We all did this before as police officers. We never chokeholds are never authorized. All the stuff that they've bandied about and made a big deal about, and then it was all about certain politicians saying, "Look what I've done." So, and all they've done now is made life very, very difficult, especially out here in Western Mass, because we don't have numerous departments are not full time, and this has completely hamstrung everyone. So, what do you think about how do we change things like that?
Well, unfortunately, the police reform bill passed. You know, unfortunately, you know,
Without much police input, you know,
exactly
law
exactly.
enforcement
And
input.
I'll be honest with you to touch on that real quick. You know, because that's a common question I get. How would you have voted if you were there then? I wouldn't have supported that bill. You know, because even a lot of police officers I've talked to, because I got a lot of friends who are police officers. Like I told you, my father was a part-timer in Agawam, and he owns Western Mass Constable Service, which is a badge-carrying officer. And you know, so you have these conversations, and it's like, listen, we get it. We need change here and there, but it's how you get change, right? To me, just being common sense, an outsider at this point, I wasn't even an elected official when this happened. I'm like, okay, well, what do? You got an issue. You bring both sides to the table. You bring communities leaders from those areas. You bring community leaders from those areas, people from the NAACP, stuff like that. You bring the police unions, the patrolman unions, this and that, and you let them decide. Hey, have them have a conversation, and you act as the moderator, and let them come to like, how do the police feel they need to make their job safe? What do these people feel they need from the policing community to feel safe? And come to a compromise. Again, it's all about working together. It's all about compromise. That's, to me, from an outsider looking in at the time, you know, would see that going. To me, this was a rush bill. I was very happy that my senator voted against it. You know, and, you know,
Rush
I was,
kind
you
of
know,
an understatement.
Yep. But, you know, so going forward, well, what can you know, this has already passed. Going forward, you got to keep conversations going. You got to set up meetings. You have to, like me, if I'm lucky enough to win this race, you know, I'm gonna go to every police department. Where do you need help? What do you need help from us, right? And then I'm gonna go to Boston. I'm gonna advocate for it. If it means I have to write if I have to write some legislation, I'm gonna do it. If I can get them funding, get them amendments for funding, I'm gonna do it. But you know, you got to have the conversation. You can't just, you know, let it slide like, oh, it's done. Oh, the bill passed.
No, that's
you need to keep the conversations going. You have to have the meetings going, and you pretty much you don't take no for an answer, and you go forward. Like Agawam right now, we're trying to do a homeroom petition to change our specials because we can't get enough police officers.
I actually drove through by Six Flags today, and I saw the sheriff's guys, or yesterday, saw sheriff's guys, and it's getting that way. I know he just put a whole class through of guys who went Ridge Academy, and some of them actually were full-time academy, because you know it's looking like we're gonna have to pull from Sheriff Cochise guys because these small towns don't have the ability.
And they don't even have enough to demand. I'll tell you why I say that. So I was lucky enough a couple weeks ago. I did a ride along. I did a whole shift with a sergeant in Agawam. You know, well, not the whole shift. It was from 4 to midnight. I did from 5 to midnight. Unfortunately, I had a meeting. I couldn't get there right at 4. But part of that was watching him do the list for all the road jobs coming up in Agawam the next day. And he's calling cops in Agawam, trying to get them to get onto it. And then he's calling the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's like, oh, we can give you this amount. So now you're trying to figure out how we're going to man all these road jobs going on, right? So we have this homeroom petition going that started way before I ever got on the council, by 2 of our current city councilors, Dino Mercadante and Anthony Safridi. And it would really make it easier for us to get people out there to do it, to man the jobs.
A lot of Italian names in Agawam.
Few. There's a few. Yeah, oh yeah. There's a few. But Anthony Safridi, the city councilor, he's also a part-time, Holyoke PD.
Yep.
So he understands what they're going through. He understands these conflicts, and we're still waiting on that to hopefully go through.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like Pete said, we don't have some of these community functions that you love to go to and we like to go to. Southwick's always been an interesting. We need more cops.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately,
Absolutely.
it's a money issue. We don't have. We don't have the power plant. We don't have the stuff that Agawam does to draw with our industrial park small. They're trying to expand it a little bit. You know what?
That's kind of been a bone of contention though too. You're trying to strike that. I've heard this throughout the years for Southwick, trying to strike that balance between commercial and residential.
Yep.
and people kind of want to keep it the bedroom community that is, but then they don't want to pay the taxes to go along with that. Like Long Meadow made a decision 50 years ago saying very little or no industrial in town, light commercial, but they pay huge taxes.
That's a prime example of that is to just go over the line. My in-laws live in Torrington. Connecticut is insane. $47 a thousand compared to, Southwick is 17. We match. That was some of the people didn't like it when I said that. I personally think we need to play around with the tax rate a little bit. I don't want to hurt anybody, but those are a couple things that I've thought about. And so you guys are one of the only other communities with population, for lack of a better term, cannabis. That's a big one with everybody. How do you feel on that?
Well, here's the thing. Again, you have your own personal opinion, and then you have what the town wants, right? So Agawam has voted. They don't want it. Correct. We made it a ballot question. They don't want it. To me, I'm a city councilor for those people.
Yep.
We made it fair. We made it a ballot question. And the way I see it, if these people, and if people are like, oh, well, you only had X amount percentage of the town vote, well, you should have voted. That's why we have these ballot questions.
Yeah.
If you don't get to the polls and make your opinions heard, then you know what? You can't complain about the results. And I have to do what the people of Agawam wanted. They voted no cannabis shops in Agawam. So if that ever came to me, I'd be like, people spoke. Now me is here. This is my view of it, right? I never got into weed.
Nope.
Never really was that guy.
Never tried.
But, you look at it, it's legal in Mass.
Legal in Connecticut.
There's
too.
all this tax revenue coming in.
Drives
right?
right through
Yep.
your town and my
And
town.
it's like, hey, so Agawam residents, they can go Northampton, they can go Spring, they go all over. So they're still going to get it if they want it.
Still gonna, that's one of the
So,
arguments, yeah.
so the thing is, would it be great tax revenue for Agawam? Absolutely. So because listen, when you're an elected official, there's also a business aspect. You have to keep your town sustainable, your city sustainable. It has to function. It has to run. You have to make choices that you hate making, and the people hate. But again, you see the books. You see where what's happening. You see what's happening with your infrastructure. You know what you need to get it sustainable. So even though it kills you to vote a certain way, you have to do it, else you can't go bankrupt. So, but with the weed, yes, it'd be great tax revenue. Would I like it for the money? Yes, I would.
Absolutely.
But I'm not a weed person. It's not like I want it. I'm not going to go there and buy it.
No.
But but the people spoke.
Yep.
The people spoke. So unless there's ever another ballot question and they overwhelmingly say yes, we change our mind, I'm sticking with the people. It's what they wanted. Because that's what I'm representing, Yeah, there's other issues when you vote for a taxing or a water bill or this or that. You don't have a choice. You see the numbers, you see the books, you see the reports.
My very first meeting, I had to vote to raise the transfer station tickets. I actually turned to Mr. Fox and said, really? My first meeting, you're going to make me raise fees? So, but yes, I had to do that. And you're right. It's not something you want to do. But especially now, inflation. And one of the things we're seeing now is the budgets that have been set were based on numbers that have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Fuel, energy, all that stuff have
Everything.
almost doubled in most
Everything.
cases.
Sad.
So even now we're trying to figure out where do we get that money from. And I agree with you on the cannabis thing. I asked around. I want it for the exact reason you said, the money. Westfield has the two. During the COVID year, they brought in almost $500,000 in taxes, just the one. I'm not sure where we are this year. I haven't looked into it. We do have a couple people that are that work for Cannabis Connection, that are numbers people, that are supporters of it. I'm more than willing to put, I actually am considering reaching out to folks, and I haven't learned all the ins and outs of it, but, I want to put it as an article on our warrant for the town meeting. And it was voted down 2018, I think it was, I think it was less than 10 votes. Some of my supporters said, oh, well, I was against it. I said, a lot of people are like, they hear marijuana in this day, and it's like they see Cheech and Chong, they see gangbangers, and I'm like, you need to go outside some of these places, and you go in them, they're the cleanest, most well-kept places, secure. So, I'm here to represent the voters, and if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen.
Yeah. I'll tell you, on another end of that, when you say how it's not what people think it is, one of my best friends, right? His whole life he's had a sleeping issue. He's been on sleeping pills, this and that. He hates being on sleeping pills. Doctor tried, hey, try this gummy. It's for sleeping. You don't take it during the day. You don't do this and that. And he goes, I don't take pills anymore, and I sleep good from this gummy, right? Now, again, it's not me. It's not what I want. But I do see the medical benefit for some people, absolutely. And listen, it's legal in Massachusetts. But, again, I represent a community that voted it down. I respect their wishes. So I'm going to keep saying, no, we can't come into Agawam because the people don't want it.
Yep.
They spoke. And, but what I really, going back to, like, if, people who are complaining but didn't even vote on it, I really want people to get more involved. This is something I pushed when I ran for council, right?
It's actually something that's going to come up in my Southwick stuff.
This is something I pushed hard when I ran for city council. I pleaded in my newspaper articles, in my mailers, get involved, reach out, be an advocate for what you want. We can't read your minds. Come to the meetings, speak at Citizen Speak Time, email us, call us, be your voice. It's easy to complain after the fact, after the vote's made.
Facebook makes it easy.
Exactly, exactly. But where are you before the vote? We have workshops, right? We have workshops discussing why we're doing what we're doing. We have workshops where you can see where the money's going, where we spent the money we had, and the inflation cost of things to try to justify why it's happening. Well, people don't watch that. And I really want them to. I want them to understand why we do. If you still disagree, fine, that's your right. But get the information. My whole goal is I want someone to like or hate something because they know all the facts. Not because they hear a talking point, not because their neighbor didn't like it and told them their opinion. Get the facts. And after the facts, you don't like it, God bless you, that's your God-given right. Yep. But hopefully you'll have an understanding. Listen, I had to make votes on increases on a couple things. Killed me. Hated it. I got just under an acre of land I got to water, right? You talk about the water bill going up, right? I got just under an acre of land. I live by myself, right? I'm a construction guy, so I'm doing enough laundry to equal a family of 3 or 4 just for my work clothes. So my water bill, I see it. I told people, I didn't want to do this. Our infrastructure, we had water mains breaking left and right. It was all over the news, 22, Western Mass, the papers, Mass Live. It got drained. The account got drained. So how do we say sustainable? How do we fix these things and then have money in case something else happens? These are tough votes. I want people to get involved to understand why and to speak up against if they don't like it, but ahead of the vote. Mm-hmm. You look at Agawam. Everyone's property values went up, right? Everyone's assessments went up. And where we're very lucky in Agawam with Bill Sapelli is he's a proactive person. He tries to resolve a problem before the problem gets there. Yep. And he's like, you know what? The assessments, these people's values are going to skyrocket. What can we do to ease that burden? Now, we don't have a say in that. We don't set we have the assessor go out and do it, but we don't say, hey, make it this and that. There's guidelines they got to follow. So he's like, we got to lower the tax rate. He's like, how much, with inflation and everything going on in Agawam, how much can we lower the tax rate
to make it beneficial and fair?
Help them a little bit so they don't get,
and they don't get poor and bankrupt.
Exactly.
City, yep.
We got to stay sustainable, but they don't get hit with a sledgehammer over the head when they get that bill, right? Yeah. So this is before I got on the council. This vote actually happened a month before I got on the council. I was at the meeting. They let me sit there at the table with them, but I had no vote or say in it. Mm-hmm. And their tax rate went down. And there's debate on what tax rate to do and why. But people, they didn't realize the tax rate lower, so they said, all you guys raised our taxes. And I'm like, well, actually, it wasn't even on the council yet, but I didn't raise your tax. But I tried explaining to them that it was the assessments. The mayor actually lowered it to try, because, you know, we're lucky in Agawam. We have a council, a school committee, a mayor. Listen, we're not going to always agree. We have our little quims here and there, but we all respect each other and we work well together. And we all want what's best for Agawam. We all want what's best for the community. You're never going to make everybody happy. You know that. Everyone knows that. I don't care, you know, where you're elected.
Dealing with that for 24 years in my position. So
So,
all right. So now I need to get to the Southwick stuff. So any last words from you, Tony?
you know, one, I'd like to thank you guys for having me here. This has been great. You know, this has been
Glad having you.
this is my first time ever doing anything like this. It's actually fun. It was enjoyable. You know,
I found that out when Peter called me on and let me have my own hour. I was surprised I was able to fill an hour, and the first thing I did when I got home is people watch it. I go, "Did I sound like a ding dong?"
I'm gonna do the same thing.
I usually am a ding dong.
But what I want to say is, you know, I like to say before we go into the Southwick stuff is, one, I want to thank you guys. I like to thank the viewers who's watching or listening to this, and I just like to say, you know what? Like I said earlier, all politics are local, right? At this level, I've always personally, I've looked at what the person brings to the table, what they want to do. Are they a worker? What's their work ethic? Do they care? What are their characteristics? Like me, I've been a worker my whole life. I grew up in a concrete, on my mother's side, they're all concrete finishers, right? I've been pouring concrete since I was a kid. I was always get in, work hard, get things done. You know, if you want something, you work hard for it. That's what I've always done, you know, be it my side business, with my union job, or anything I've done. So I have that characteristic. I'm very confident on that. But the big thing that I think I bring to the table is one, you get sincerity. All right, it's not. I don't beat around the bush. I don't give you a political answer. I don't tell you what I think you want to hear. I'm that guy who's going to tell you as good or as bad and why. And I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. I'm going to tell you why.
Yep.
I'm just a sincere person trying to do what's best for the people that I care about, for the people that live in my communities, in my district. Just like I've done for Agawam, I want to expand that to a broader level. I want to bring that compassion, that work ethic that I brought to Agawam, I bring that to the whole district. And I think if I'm given that chance, I think the people will be pretty happy with the effort I put into it.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, and I'm going to read off some of our upcoming Southwick events that you can come
I'll be
talk
happy
to
to.
people. So
Great.
some of the things we're going to go over for Southwick. Again, things for me have been interesting. It's a learning process, and I don't want to go into too much about me. It's more, this is everything Southwick, not everything Jason. So, let's see. There's a couple of things I want to really talk to the Southwick folks about. Master plan survey. Pete, I know you've heard about this thing.
Yep.
So
I think it's a great thing, actually.
it absolutely is. You know, I guess what was the last time they did it? In the 60s that it actually happened?
They,
or late
yeah,
70s?
Doug had said it had been a long time.
Yeah, and they tried to do it again in the 90s, but it didn't go through. So, you know, residents, I did it. You know, you don't necessarily have to sit there and type all your comments, but go in there, check off the boxes. This is your opportunity to have a say for maybe your kids, your grandparents, depending on how old you are. You know, it'll probably affect me because it's master plan. Let's see, what is it? It's Southwick2040.com. You'll look up the master plan survey, and it'll give you an opportunity to do that. There is a way to get hard copies. I think you can do it through the town hall and a few other places in town. So please, Southwick residents, make sure you take care of that. Some of the other things going on, the water issue. I've been hearing a lot about that. I know you mentioned stuff about the water issue. With a mandatory water use restriction, I'm going to paraphrase this short and sweet as best I can. This is something that's related to a change in the DEP standards with the water. In 2014, I spoke with Randy Brown. This is based on a 2014 thing. I spoke with Randy Brown about this. So basically, Southwick took the initiative and started transferring themselves into the new regulations, and Southwick got accepted into the 2014 standards. And then DEP, there's a big long thing about it. They didn't everybody else that was in our aquifer district is now not under it. So they didn't get to that point. So that's a lot of people are like, well, it's not fair. West Springfield's doing this, and you're right, it's not fair. But I reached out to a couple folks and I said, unfortunately, some of the people are like, well, well, then let's go back to the old standards. It's the state, and nothing happens fast with the state.
True.
So it's not really a Southwick thing. The fines, there is an opportunity to do an abatement and appeal. So look up that. I know it stinks, and there's really nothing, unfortunately. People come to me. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. I hate to say that. I will dig and get you all the information. Like Tony said, you asked me a question. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to dig. I'm going to try and find it for you. So that's just the short version of it. There is, if folks want it, I have the Town of Southwick statement regarding what it's all about. And you can also go on the Mass DEP, look up the towns, and get a little bit more information. But it's typical government blibber blabber, so that you can't quite understand everything. So so let's see, other things going on. The Rotary concerts every Wednesday night until I believe it's the end of this month. They do free concerts. The Rotary puts them on at Wally Park. So if you get the opportunity, come on out to those. At 6 o'clock they do them. Couple things going on are with Congamon, the lake issues. The E. coli in South Pond is through the roof. I actually just read it in the paper. I'd known they had recommended no swimming. Now the E. coli levels in all of South Pond, they're recommending stay away from it. I know it's probably not going to happen, but the E. coli levels are high. It's based a combination of the very high temperatures, the low water flow, the canal and everything gets kind of filled in over the years, and there is some plans to be, Mr. Grenels on Lake Management did some hard work, and there's some grants coming that they're going to be dredging out the canal somewhere down the line. As in regards to the lake, Citizens Restoring Congamon are going to be having their CRC golf tournament on the 17th of September. You can go on there and you can donate. You can do the golf, which I think is $100 for golf and the dinner, or you can just do the dinner for $35. You can also sponsor holes, stuff like that. We have the police golf tournament that just got announced the other day on Facebook. That's on October 10th. And Tony brought it up, boards and commissions. There's been some talk about that, and I know there's been some hubbub, controversy over the last couple of years. Mr. Moglen says it all the time. We need people to come on out. Take a look at those boards. Find something that interests you, or if you really want to get more involved. I did this the hard way. I jumped right into the select board right from the beginning. So actually, I'm kind of stepping backwards and learning the rest of it now, as well as this job. So it's been quite interesting. But get on out there, come to the meetings, get informed. Other things we got going on recently now at the Grind, which is the coffee shop in the center of town, was the old church on Southwick Hill, which has now been renamed to Railroad Hill, or I got to look at it, but they just renamed it because of the connection with the depot condominiums. So, so they have a car cruising show every Mondays, 5 to dusk. At Malicious, they also have those going on as well, Wednesdays, starting at 5 o'clock. And the VFW is also doing some cruise nights. Mr. Frank Grillo, who actually is my soon-to-be brother-in-law's father, purchased the old VFW, and he's doing some car shows, 8/27, 9/10, and 9/24. He'll be doing some cruise nights there. And that we're wrapping up on my hour. So and I'm glad I was able to give you the opportunity.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
If Mr. Bull, I reached out to Mr. Boldiga, and I will be back if he wants me to come back. However he wants to do this, we want to be fair, like Peter said. It's all about fair and compromise and all that good stuff.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
so that's about it, Pete. We got anything else? You got anything you've been hearing in the news or that's come up, in Mr. Didi shows or anybody else's?
No,
events?
nothing really. Everybody's kind of doing their thing right now.
Yep.
And actually, that's great for Southwick because the more information that gets out there is better for everybody involved.
Yeah. So hopefully, we'll see how the elections go, whether it's Mr. Russo, Mr. Boldiga, things will start making some progress here, and especially with this inflation, things are starting to go down. Maybe things will get a little bit better that way. But that's about it for me. I don't have too much more to say other than, again, I want to thank the residents of Southwick for voting me into this office. It's going to be an interesting remaining 2 years and 10 months or so. I'm going to try and do the best for you guys that I possibly can. And as Tony said, if you have a question, come on out. Come see me, come to the select board meeting, pull me aside at the end if we don't go into executive session. My phone number I'm going to give it to you right now, 413-454-3269. jperone@southwickma.org is my email. So anything you have to ask, and I will come to you. It's a little difficult. I do have a full-time job. That's been an interesting learning how to do that balancing and juggling act. Like you said, I would love to.
I did warn you.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you did. So did everybody else.
That is a struggle.
Yes, and they asked me if I was also insane as well. But those who know me would probably say yes. But So
That's it. You're wrapped up.
that's it. Pete, I want to thank you, and I'll see you back here in
Couple of months.
right after the elections in November.
Yep, couple of months.
We'll see how it goes.
Hey, thanks for
Tony,
having me.
Thank
Appreciate
you for coming.
it.
Who can it be knocking at my door? Go away, don't come down here no more. Can't you see that it's late at night? I'm very tired, and I'm not feeling right. All I wish is to be alone. Stay away, don't you invade my home. Best off if you hang outside. Don't come in, I'll only run and hide. Who can it be now? 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 Who can it be knocking at my door? Make no sound, tiptoe across the floor. If he hears, he'll knock all day. I'll be trapped, and here I'll have to stay. I've done no harm, I keep to myself. There's nothing wrong with my state of mental health. I like it here with my childhood